Hi guys and welcome to the Lick Loft. My name's Rich.
My name's Danny.
And today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most iconic guitarists of our time, Mr. Nile Rodgers. So he's played on probably more records than I can think of right now. Duran Duran, Madonna.
Yeah, David Bowie, Diana Ross, Daft Punk.
Sister Sledge.
Yeah.
We can keep this going for hours, but yeah, a lot of records, a lot of hits as well. But the key thing today in this video, we're going to be looking at his rhythm guitar technique. Now, this is a real critical piece of arsenal you want in your guitar playing, because this is something that can set you apart as a player, to whether you get a job as a guitarist or not, as we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, we're going to dive into some examples and sort of give you sort of a few tips and how to kind of implement that really, and just kind of get it, you know, explain the technique to you so you can go away and try it out and get it in your own playing.
Yeah, this rhythm secret that we're about to show you, it's something that was really highlighted to us because Rich runs an agency hiring Motown bands for all different types of events, and with that comes hiring a lot of guitar players.
Yeah.
And they're all great, can all play the stuff usually, you know, but there's something that separates the good from the great. And we believe by showing you the secret, will get you there. And it's worth noting, it's something you said earlier, that rhythm playing is 90% probably of, you know, what you will do. And if you're looking to have a career as a guitarist, whether that's in a function band, a pub band, a cover band, to playing with any artist in the world, you need to have this particular rhythm secret they're about to show you.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely vital, and it's as vital to a band as a grooving bass player and drummer, because that is the first thing that gets spoken about when you're talking about a band and what groove they had. It's, oh, that bass player and drummer was laying it down.
Yeah.
But if you're playing some really clacky staccato kind of just really stiff rhythm over the top, it doesn't matter what band you're playing with, you will instantly kill that vibe.
Yeah.
And more importantly, your other bandmates who are grooving are going to notice, and you probably won't get that call again.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing to bear in mind is that not necessarily Nile Rodgers. As you know, Nile Rodgers has played from all sorts of styles, from pop to funk to, you know, endless stuff. So it's something that can be used, and it's not just his records. This can be used in a lot of different songs. You know, your standard pop songs, you can add a bit of kind of style to existing songs you're doing. Because, yeah, like we said, it's the majority of your job as a guitar player is your rhythm playing.
So I'm going to pass this over to Rich. He's going to show you some examples and let you know on that secret that we've been talking about.
Cool. Let's have a look. So as you saw from that example, it's quite obvious. Try to make it quite clear that, you know, there's a difference between muting while you're playing the chords, a rhythm part, and not muting. So essentially what you're getting is you've got one part where you're hearing the chord all of the time. And then the other example is when you've got the mutes happening in between. So what you're doing is you're hearing the gaps in between the chord, if you like, and it's more of a rhythmic thing, which is essentially what you want to be trying to do, is deliver that funk, that groove across, so that your audience essentially is going to get up and dance, you know. So
it's the notes you're not playing, and it sounds silly, but it's really what will separate you. The notes you are not playing, you can play all the same chords as Rich did in both examples, but it just doesn't have the same feel. And if this is a new concept to you, which I appreciate it may be, or maybe that you're just trying to bring some of this, you know, into your playing. It's quite big in the charts at the moment. Most pop songs you'll hear have these type of guitar parts coming back in, because unfortunately for us, the lead solo
died in the 80s.
Fan in the hair. It seems to not be in current music at the moment, but there is still a place to have a career in guitar. You just need to be able to really lock in with with that groove, whether it's a dance song, a pop song. Translates to all different genres. So if you're new to this, the biggest tip I can give you is always tap your foot. If it's not comfortable, sometimes when I'm doing it sitting down, it feels a bit, it gets a bit tiring. I find that even standing up, and whatever you do, whether you're tapping your foot, rocking back and forth, you'll find your own thing. As long as you're doing it in time and just practice, just muting, even if you're not playing a chord, and then you can gradually just bring in one chord. Don't worry about playing all the notes, because you've really got to nail that first muting and rhythm before you even think about bringing any chords in.
Yeah, it's almost like thinking of it as like an on and an off switch, isn't it? So the chord is when it's on, and then you're just sort of taking the chord away from the strings a little bit, but you're still muting, and that's your off switch. So you're kind of picking a rhythm out. I mean, you can tap it on your leg and go da 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 da, and then you fill in the gaps with your mutes. I mean, I suppose one way of looking at it is this is all predominantly 16th note based. So if you're thinking that in terms of beats, you've got essentially four strums to a beat, if you like. So 1 E-ander, 2 E-ander, 3 E-ander, 4 E-ander, etc. So all you're doing is you're kind of deciding which of those beats or which of those 16th notes you are playing and which you are muting.
Yeah. And the other thing that really came to mind to me, particularly playing in function bands at the time when it was popular, was Uptown Funk. There was a particular section and that had real single notes, and I think it's in the second verse or something.
Yeah.
And I found that to be able to hear what I was playing, like you said earlier, sometimes you go back and you clean it up and you play the notes by themselves just so you can hear it through the mix.
Yes.
Whereas actually what Rich is going to show you now is again playing a similar type of thing but with single notes instead of chords, and how adding this technique to single lines can really bring them to life.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look at that. So yeah, as you saw, playing notes in a sort of a single line form, that is, again, it can feel quite bare if you haven't got that technique in place, I always feel it's something that kind of helps you beef up, especially if you're the only guitarist in the band as well. That helps a lot. So yeah, there are different scenarios perhaps where you may and may not use it, but a lot of the time if I was to choose between the two, I would go with, you're hitting the strings as well as the notes. It just gives it a bit more, style, a bit more funk, a bit more kind of pizzazz, if you like.
Yeah, and it is a hard technique because you are basically playing almost all the strings at once, but you're only playing the notes you want to.
Yeah.
So again, maybe start with one note, just try and do some note targeting.
Yeah, I mean,
so pick a note and just try and make sure that you're only playing that note, so nothing else is coming out, just the mutes and that note.
Exactly.
And then that'll be a really good technique for you to practice.
Yeah.
So the next thing that Rich is going to show you is a bit more subtle, but it's a bit unnerving because sometimes you almost feel like you're dragging the song. But if you're in the right pocket, this can just add the final sprinkle to what we've already showed you. So the muting, playing all the strings at once, but just highlighting the notes you want, adding this final part of just playing behind the groove will really complete it all and round it off. So I think if you show us what we're talking about.
So I'll play a section where I'm playing as close as I can, almost like syncopated, or was it quantized, even not syncopated, quantized guitar part. So almost it's exactly on the beat, which I'm not going to do perfectly because I'm not a robot, but I'll do it as close as I can, and then the next bit I'll show you how you can kind of fall behind the beat and hopefully deliver that groove. That's what it sounds like.
So that reminded me of a really awesome video I watched earlier, and it was by Rick Beato, and it was basically breaking down a Jonas Brothers song. And some reviewer from some magazine in America had said it was like the rebirth of funk. And
That's a statement, isn't it, as well?
And it was the funkiest thing since James Brown. So what Rick did, he put a click track on, and he basically proved that the song was completely quantized. And what that means is it's the same BPM from the start all the way to the end of this section that they're talking about. Now, if you were to do that on a James Brown album, or particularly something live, I mean, you'll see that BPM go all over the place.
Yeah, it will not be the same, would it?
It's adrenaline, it's looking at each other, it's feel, it's everything that, you know, you could argue gets killed with quantizing and overproduction. So what Rich is showing you there is a real fine art of playing just enough behind the beat where you're not out of time, you're not putting people off, but you're just adding to this overall picture that you're trying to paint with all these different techniques. Yeah. Just making a really cool kind of stanky groove.
I must add, it is quite difficult to do because you've obviously got, in one ear, you've got that drum beat, which again is just a groove that we've got on our drum software, but it is pretty much on the beat. It's on the money. You know, there's no real sort of time or BPM fluctuation. It's a static beat. So that's going on in one ear, and yet in my head I'm trying to deliberately play behind it. So I'm kind of combating two very small differences in terms of the timing. So I think drummers, it helps. It'll be a lot easier obviously if you've got a bass player and a drummer to play to, because they get themselves will organically as a unit will move together. So whereas that drum beat will not move no matter what you do. I'm kind of always fighting it. So if you can do that, then that's brilliant, because you know, if you're ever in a recording situation and you've got a producer that is maybe making a pop track like a Jonas Brothers track, then you can go in and go, great, I can still get across my part and make it groove, even if perhaps the rest of the song isn't doing as much. Yeah,
that's a really good point. So if you're new to our channel, please subscribe, give us a like. We produce loads of cool content like this, and we like to be really interactive with you guys. So if you can write below that any other artists, you know, techniques, secrets you'd like us to look at, let us know below, and we'll see you again soon.
Cool. Take it easy, guys. See you in the next one.